Good afternoon, and welcome to our November meeting of the Board of Regents. I'd like to call our meeting to order with a roll call. Regent Acker.
Present.
Regent Beam. Here. Regent Bernstein. Regent Brown.
Here.
Regent Hubbard.
Here.
Regent Illich.
Here.
Regent Myers.
Present.
And Regent White. I'd like to begin today by officially welcoming Bobby Hewlett to the table. Bobby is serving as Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer in an interim capacity. He has served the university for 14 years, much of which he spent with Michigan Medicine. He holds 2 degrees from the Ross Business School, which accounts for his strong financial acumen. I am grateful for his willingness to serve and hope you will join me in welcoming him. As we welcome Bobby, we are also preparing to say goodbye to Richie Hunter, our Vice President for Communication. Richie's expertise has helped guide the communication strategy for advancing the university's reputation locally, nationally, and globally. In particular, her work to launch the Look to Michigan media campaign this fall has ensured that millions of people understand Michigan's impact on the world and all we do to serve the public. Richie's departure will be on January 2nd. And on a personal note, I will miss working with Richie very much because she's been terrific. To guarantee a smooth transition, I will appoint Ken Kentenbeal, who is currently serving as Senior Advisor to the President, as Interim Vice President for Communications, effective January 3rd. Please welcome Ken, and let's give a round of applause to Richie. I'd like to thank Regent Hubbard for joining us at last week's State of the University program and opening the program. It was an inspiring morning that showcased the work of several faculty and students, highlighting why we are encouraging the nation to look to Michigan as a beacon of hope. I'd also like to congratulate David Miller, our Executive Vice President for Medical Affairs, and everyone at Michigan Medicine for this month's opening of the D. Dan and Betty Kahn Healthcare Pavilion. It is a signature addition to our medical campus and comes online as we are preparing to celebrate the 175th anniversary of the medical school. I know many people work to make the Kahn Pavilion a reality, and I want to thank them for their massive contributions. This new hospital is a powerful statement about healthcare, the healthcare we provide for the people of our region and state. Lastly, this is our final board meeting of the calendar year, and I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and a relaxing holiday break with their families and friends. And I hope everyone watches the Ohio State game. Go Blue, beat OSU. And now I'd like to turn it over to Provost McCauley to tell us about this month's presentation.
Thank you, President Grasso. Professor Connie Sung is the inaugural Anne Marie Hawkins Research Professor of Disability Justice and Professor of Social Work in our School of Social Work. She is also a director of the Supporting Transition and Employment Pathways, or STEP, Research Lab. The STEP Lab develops community-based interventions to improve school-to-work transitions, career development, and psychosocial adjustment among people with disabilities. Professor Sung joined the University of Michigan in January of this year, coming to us from Michigan State University. Professor Sung has authored more than 100 publications on disability justice and rehabilitation and has secured more than $20 million in research funding to support projects that adopt strengths-based, co-designed interventions for people with disabilities. Her work spans collaborations across Hong Kong, China, Ireland, the UK, Slovakia, Ghana, Botswana, and Mali, and she has presented at the United Nations General Assembly Science Summit. Professor Sung earned her Bachelor of Science in Occupational Therapy and Master of Philosophy in Rehabilitation Sciences from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and her PhD in Rehabilitation Psychology from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Professor Sung is a licensed professional counselor and a certified rehabilitation counselor. She's also a fellow of the American Psychological Association and a Mary Schweitzer Fellow awarded by the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. Professor Sung, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Provost Macaulay. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great honor and pleasure to speak here today. My presentation is about changing systems, not people, expanding opportunities for people with disabilities. First, I want to thank Dean Beth Angel, who is here today, for bringing me to the University of Michigan, the Hawkins family for their generous support, and Provost Macaulay for her leadership in disability justice and the campus-wide disability inclusion initiative. This year, I joined the University of Michigan after 12 years at MSU. No worries though, because I now bleed blue. My work focuses on 3 areas. First, preparing the next generation of social workers. Second, conducting research to improve employment outcomes. And third, partnering with communities and organizations to implement effective practices and deliver real, lasting change. For instance, we had a statewide project a few years ago that was built on a unique, long-standing partnership between the state government and higher education institutions to address employment gaps and increase career pathways for people with disabilities, ensuring access to good, promising, and inclusive opportunities for all Michiganders. To begin, I would like to ask you to raise your hand if you know someone, a family member, friend, colleague, or loved one who has some form of disability. As you see, this is a shared experience for all of us. In fact, 1 in 4 adults have some form of disability. Now, I'd like you to think about how you introduce yourself to people. You likely say your name and what you do for a living. For many of us, work can be an important part of our identity, providing us with purpose, but for so many people living with disabilities, finding employment is incredibly difficult. People with disabilities remain one of the most overlooked populations. The majority of people with disabilities want to work. They are talented, motivated, and have a lot to offer. As you see in the chart, there's a significant employment gap all around the world. But here in the US, the gap is even more profound. Only about 1/3 of adults with disabilities are employed. That represents about half the rate of people without disabilities. This gap is not a reflection of individual ability. This is a reflection of systems that were not built to include them. My work and my passion focus on removing systemic barriers that prevent people with disabilities from accessing meaningful education, employment, and community opportunities. I work to help people with disabilities find good jobs and build confident, meaningful lives. My work not only builds confidence and strengths in people with disabilities, but also works to improve structures, including schools, systems, and workplaces, to better support people with disabilities in finding meaningful work. The goal is not to change people themselves, but to change the systems around them so that everyone has a chance to thrive. Our research team designs, tests, and implements research-based employment readiness training programs for both people with disabilities and employers. We collaborate with schools, vocational rehabilitation agencies, and community organizations. We train people with disabilities in finding work, developing skills, and holding employment. And we also partner with employers to create environments where people with different abilities can thrive. Implementing these programs within places of employment and training facilities allow us to expand our reach. All of our work is grounded in a key principle of disability rights. Nothing about us without us. Our research team does not design programs in isolation. We co-develop our programs with people with disabilities, their families, educators, employers, and community stakeholders throughout the entire process to ensure their voices are included and our work truly meets the needs of the people it is meant to serve. We center our work and projects on being impactful. We use these principles to shape how we build partnerships and how we move research into practice. Our team is currently leading 4 projects, and today I'm going to share 2 of them with you. One is happening locally in Detroit, while the other is international. The first one is called Project Empower and Employ, which supports students with disabilities, particularly those at risk of justice involvement, in developing workplace readiness and confidence. Our team has been working closely with several Detroit public schools to embed this employment training program into their school curriculum. We also partner with employers to create internship and employment opportunities that are welcoming and inclusive. Another project is called Inclusive Hub. We implemented our model as a pilot in Slovakia with promising outcomes. Starting this year, we are expanding to 9 additional countries in Central Europe. This partnership was featured by the US Department of State and highlighted at the United Nations General Assembly Science Summit, recognizing our research to practice approach that is expanding employment opportunities for people with disabilities. My ultimate career goal is that employment becomes the default expectation for people with disabilities, and that communities, families, organizations have the tools and confidence to help them thrive, as it takes a village. I want to end my presentation with this quote by Diane Richler: "Inclusion is about creating a better world for everyone." Thank you again for the opportunity to do this work at Michigan. I believe that we have the momentum to create meaningful change and the responsibility to ensure that people with disabilities are not overlooked in employment and life. Thank you for supporting me as I lead this important work. Go Blue.
The Regents Committee's reports will begin with Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee. Regent White.
Thank you so much, President Grasso. The Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee met today, including Regents Bernstein, Hubbard, and Myers, met with the interim EVP CFO, Bobby Hewlett, and interim VP for Finance, Drew Smith, for updates on university finances and on insurance matters with Veritas. We also received an update on procurement items.
Thank you. Health Affairs, Regent Beam.
Thanks, President Grasso. The Health Affairs Committee met with EVPMA Miller for an update on U of M Health, and with Eric Strucco, Michigan Medicine CFO, for an update on Michigan Medicine finances. We also received a number of informational reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel, Compensation, and Governance Committee, Regent Illich.
Thank you, President Grasso. The committee, including Regents Acker and White, met with Provost EVP McCauley for a discussion with Jonathan Massey, our Dean of the Tallman College of Architecture and Urban Planning. We also met with Associate Vice President for HR, Rich Holcomb, on several human resource items. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Ilitch. Regent Bernstein would like to make several comments.
Just two, President Grasso, thankfully. The first is it's a great honor to make this statement, to share a Regent's resolution regarding Richie Hunter on the occasion, on this very, in my view, very sad moment. The Regents of the University of Michigan expressed their sincere appreciation to Richie Hunter, Vice President for Communications, upon her departure from the university that is effective on January 2nd, 2026. Vice President Hunter was appointed to her role in May of 2023 and has since served as the university's chief communications officer and principal advisor to the president on matters of communications. She has overseen the Office of the Vice President for Communications, which encompasses executive and presidential communications, public affairs, the University Record, Michigan News, Michigan Creative, social media, the Freedom of Information Act Office, and other related responsibilities. The Regents extend their gratitude to Vice President Hunter for her dedicated service to the University of Michigan and convey their best wishes for her future endeavors. Thank you, Richie, for a job well done. Our university is better because of your work here. Thank you. And then secondly, speaking of communications, I'd like to share the following statement on behalf of the Board of Regents of the University of Michigan regarding the Big Ten Enterprises proposal that has received a great deal of attention over the past few weeks. The University of Michigan Board of Regents met today to discuss the current Big Ten Enterprises proposal. We remain opposed to this deal. Importantly, we are committed to the Big Ten Conference and will continue to explore opportunities that address the pressing financial challenges facing Big Ten athletic departments. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Bernstein. Regent Myers would like to make a comment.
Yes, thank you. On November 15th, Dr. Ramona L. Doyle, the American Secretary of the Rhodes Trust, announced the names of the 32 Americans chosen as 2026 Rhodes Scholars, one of the most prestigious academic honors available to U.S. college graduates. The scholars will be fully funded postgraduate to study at Oxford University in England in October of 2026. Today, I'm very pleased to congratulate University of Michigan graduate Yuma Dagger on being selected as a 2026 American Rhodes Scholar. Ms. Dagger graduated from the University of Michigan in 2025, where she completed double majors in English and Environment and Sustainability. Her senior honors thesis in creative writing received numerous campus awards. She is currently a Dean's Fellow at the University of Michigan, focused on implementing sustainability initiatives, and she also works within Arts Alliance on establishing a neighborhood arts hub. While an undergraduate, she was the program lead of the University's Sustainable Food Program. At Oxford, she intends to complete her Master's of Science in Nature, Society, Environmental Governance, followed by a Master of Science in Visual, Material, and Museum Anthropology. And as a side note, I was told by a friend of the family that upon graduating from high school, she was also accepted at Harvard University. She chose Michigan. Once again, congratulations, Rhodes Scholar-elect Yuma Dagger. Go Blue forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Myers. Regent Ilitch would like to make a comment.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to visit our Maize and Blue cupboard, and I wanted to just share some of the thoughts and observations that I have. The Maize and Blue cupboard is a lifeline for the University of Michigan community. It ensures that our campus community has access to healthy food and the resources to prepare it, regardless of their financial circumstances. So last fiscal year, the cupboard had 26,000 shopping visits, making a significant difference in the lives of our students. Recent federal funding cuts have significantly reduced the amount of free food available to the Maize and Blue cupboard. I wanted to define food insecurity. Food insecurity means the limited or uncertain availability of nutritionally adequate or safe foods, or the ability to acquire such foods in socially acceptable ways, the USDA. For college students, a lack of money, transportation, and knowledge about food preparation and budgeting can contribute to food insecurity. So I wanted to make a few key points that statistically that were provided to me by the university. At some point during their time at the University of Michigan, 1 in 3 students will experience food insecurity, and 10%, which is about 5,000 students, go an entire day without food because they cannot afford it. Food insecurity affects every part of a student's Michigan experience. GPA decreases when students are hungry. BMI increases when students have unhealthy food choices, and an inability to concentrate and mental health issues. So our cupboard is 100% donor funded. It's open year round, and it offers 1,300 weekly appointments plus emergency food bags available on site and in 17 offices across campus. Volunteers contributed more than 1,500 hours last year, unloading deliveries, sorting donations, assisting shoppers, and ensuring every student is met with dignity, care, and a welcoming experience. The endowment goal for the cupboard is $8 million, with $4.2 million raised to date. We invite alumni and donors to join in the work. If you don't need the resource, be the resource. There are several ways you can participate and help to support these efforts. Donations can be made directly through the website. You may also consider contributing food, kitchenware, or personal care items. And of course, one of the most meaningful gifts you can offer is your time. I'd like to publicly thank Deb and Steve Rosenthal, who contributed $2 million to this pantry. And then Jeff and Emily Pitt decided to match that and contributed an additional $2 million. Murray Pitt, Jeff's father, has set an example of great giving, obviously, for his son. Mr. Pitt is a longtime supporter of U of M. I'd like to acknowledge the program manager. I had a lovely discussion with Kelly O'Mara, who is the manager, and the senior director, Alicia Marting, and of course, Vice President Harmon, who leads and oversees this project. In conclusion, what I want to say is, what I learned was that our students with financial aid are most affected with food insecurity. And while we're serving students, there are many more that we have not been able to serve that have a need. So I want to send a message to our students. This cupboard is behind Betsy Barber. You have full access to it. The website needs to be updated, but the hours are on the website, and your visit is confidential. We also have additional access in Dearborn, as well as 2 more cupboards that are planned on North Campus and near athletics. I do want to invite all of the administration to visit the cupboard. There was a bright spot, Provost Macaulay. There was some discussion of professors sharing this resource with students prior to them teaching class. Having said that, they always don't have the most updated information, and there's an opportunity to do so much more where maybe there's a training, experience to be able to, before you start class, to be able to share this resource. So I encourage you just to think about that and come up with some great ideas on how we can let more of our students know about this. I was thinking of student government. I understand, I know, Eric, I see you, and I think Angelica is here, but I understand that you have access to student emails. And so I really want to encourage you to utilize that and think about being able to share with students this resource so that they know where the pantry is, what the hours are, that it is available, and then also as we expand, that they're able to take advantage of that. And then I want to respectfully ask the Regents to consider expanding the Go Blue guarantee in some way by expanding the resource with which to handle this need. Again, the website needs to be improved, but I thank you all for listening and thank all of those at the administration that are supporting this really important resource and service. We have the power to ensure that no Michigan student has to choose between focusing on their education and meeting their most basic needs. So please, let's use that power. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Illich. Regent White, would you like to? Richie?
So thank you. I just wanted to, wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I did want to go back and talk about Richie. I so have enjoyed working with you. I'm going to miss you. I think a lot of us are, if not everyone, right? And wish you all the best. And we're so grateful to have had all this time with you. Not enough, but good luck on your future endeavors. And I hope you keep in touch.
Thank you, Regent White. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I will call for a vote on conflict of interest items, each of which requires 6 votes for approval. Does anyone need recusal from voting on an item? Okay. Is there a motion to approve finance and property items 4 through 21?
So moved.
Second? Okay. I'd like a show of hands in favor. Okay, motion carries. We now turn to the consent agenda, beginning with a report from Chancellor Scarlata on the Dearborn campus.
Thank you, President Grasso. I do have some updates. We recently launched our Dearborn Adult Success Initiative pilot program, which goes hand in hand with the 30 by 60 goal of the governor. This partnership with the Diploma Equity Project targets students who are 25 and older. This is a population that historically has had a higher rate of leaving college before graduating, and we are working harder than ever to ensure they get across the finish line. Currently, there are 101 students participating in the pilot program. Each student receives dedicated support and progress monitoring, including a success coach. We will be measuring in January and then again in April to see if this effort improves retention, and then we'll obviously continue the pilot for a second year, and we'll take it from there. Yesterday, we held our Chancellor Staff Recognition Awards. This year, we celebrated 55 milestone anniversaries, including 8 staff members who have been at the university for 25 years or more. One of those, Bonnie Sutherland, our mail services manager, has been with UM Dearborn for 40 years. We are very proud of these numbers as they show something I can personally attest to. UM Dearborn is a great place to work. And finally, Interim Provost Gassan Cridley and I published an op-ed in Crain's Detroit Business last week on the importance of admitting and keeping international students here in Michigan. This is something we're very passionate about. I talked about the decrease this year, and due to our professional experience, of course, but also because we are both former international students ourselves. So if you haven't read the article, I'll be happy to share the link. So thanks, as always, for your support, and forever go blue and go Dearborn.
Thank you, Chancellor Scarlata, and I read the article, and bravo to you and Gassan. It was an excellent piece. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn to Chancellor Alexander for an update on the Flint campus.
Thank you, President Grasso. First, I'm pleased to share some good news regarding awards of recognition for a faculty member and a staff member. Gabriela Rostova, Associate Professor of Music, has been honored with the 2025 Maynard Klein Award by the Michigan chapter of the American Choral Directors Association. The award recognizes her lifetime of leadership, artistic excellence, and significant influence in the field of choral music. Also, Antonio Riggs, an Associate Director in the Office of Student Career Advancement and Success, was honored with the Bryant B.B. Nolden Community Champion Award by the Flint and Genesee Group. The award celebrates individuals who demonstrate strong community collaboration, advocacy, and engagement. Congratulations to both Gabriella and Antonio. Further exemplifying the commitment of faculty and staff to advancing the mission of U of M Flint, our Master of Public Administration program has received a planned gift of $954,000 from the estate of Miriam and Ellis Perlman. Dr. Ellis Perlman, who joined the faculty at U of M Flint in 1967, supported the development of many academic programs on campus, including the Master of Public Administration program. This gift will support 5 named scholarship awards for MPA students, continuing his legacy of dedication to educating public service professionals. Also, the university has announced that 11 graduate programs were previously limited to domestic applicants have been officially authorized to enroll F1 international students. These programs include graduate degrees in computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data analytics, data science, digital transformation, electrical and computer engineering, human-centered design, smart manufacturing, software engineering, and supply chain management. I'm delighted to share that the U of M Flint Chemistry Club, a student chapter of the American Chemical Society, has earned the ACS Outstanding Chapter Award for the 12th time in 24 years. This places the chapter in the top 5% of more than 1,000 active ACS student chapters nationwide and marks its 2nd consecutive year winning outstanding status. And finally, I am pleased to announce that U of M Flint has once again been recognized by the Military Times as one of the nation's best for vets colleges in its 2026 rankings, marking the 5th consecutive year the university has earned this distinction. The ranking comes on the heels of U of M Flint being named a gold-level veteran-friendly school for the 11th consecutive year. On that high note, President Grasso, that concludes my campus report. Go Flint and go Blue.
Thank you, Chancellor Alexander, and congratulations on all those accomplishments, especially the one about the veterans, speaking from personal experience. There are a number of memoirs this month, and Regent Hubbard has a comment.
Thank you, President Grasso. I noticed that my friend Janet Kinney is in the memoirs this month, and I just wanted to offer my congratulations to her from the table here and recognize not only her service to the university, but her public service as well, as she's served as a member of the Michigan Board of Dentistry and served in a leadership role with her trade association, the Michigan Dental Hygienists Association. And for all those things, I wanted to thank her publicly and wish her the best in her future.
Thank you, Regent Hubbard. That recommendations for honorary degrees for winter commencement are also in the book. That concludes the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving to finance and property, the first 2 items are for information only. Now we move to U of M Health Sparrow, Ionia, Ambulatory Expansion Project. EVP Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to briefly present the Ambulatory Care Expansion Project for University of Michigan Health Sparrow in Ionia, Michigan. This new building will reflect University of Michigan Health's ongoing commitment to serving our patients as close to home as possible in their communities by providing high-quality, affordable health care to all of the communities that we're privileged to serve. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve? Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Conflict of interest items were approved earlier in the meeting. We have one more action item, naming the Central Campus Residential Development Facility, Phases 1 and 2. VP Harmon.
Thank you, President Grasso. As you know, Student Life is expanding our residential program. The Central Campus Residential Development 1 is under construction now, and I'm really excited that it will open in fall of 2026 and will add 2,300 beds. Central Campus Residential Development Phase 2 is in the early planning stages. The Student Life Naming Subcommittee generated names for consideration and shared them with the Residence Hall Association, which is students, residential education, and student residents. And there was a consensus that the CCRD area be called Wolverine Village. I want to highlight that within the area, there are individual buildings which are numbered and will have their own names. And for example, one of the names has already been decided by the Board of Regents, and it is Building 5, which is Dr. E. Royster Harper Hall. So that will continue to be named that, but the entire area, we are proposing it will be named Wolverine Village. So we are recommending that the Board of Regents approve this request for CCRD 1 and 2 to be named Wolverine Village. Thank you.
Thank you, VP Harmon. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Motion carries. Finally, we have a student government report from CSG President Eric Veal, Jr.
As the Central Student Government enters its 7th month of the 15th session, the Executive, Assembly, and Judiciary remain steadfast in advancing our priorities of accessibility, inclusion, and student engagement. We continue to believe that student government must serve as both an advocate and a bridge, ensuring that student perspectives are integrated into university governance processes while also delivering tangible resources, programs, and opportunities that strengthen the student experience. It is my honor to deliver my final report of this semester. This semester has been a tremendous growth and great collaboration across our institution. Our administration has worked intentionally to build structures that empower students, foster community, and institutionalize student voice within decision-making processes. As we transition towards the latter half of the semester, CSG is proud to reflect on the progress made across our internal operations, advocacy initiatives, partnerships with campus stakeholders. One of them being our additional focus on the Maize and Blue cover. This year, we got the opportunity to actually shoot a promotional video to let students know what we can do to partner and make sure that students on campus are able to get the food they need. Additionally, in October, Central Student Government formally launched 2 cornerstone initiatives that represent long-term investments in student engagement: the Bridge Program and the Diplomatic Corps. Student organizations remain one of the most direct and effective ways to reach students. From the Squirrel Club to student theater to pre-professional fraternities and identity-based organizations, they are where community is built. Leadership is developed and student voices are amplified. Recognizing their essential role, CSG created this initiative to place student orgs at the very center of the university's dialogue and policy consultation. Another crucial group of the student is the first-year experience. For a long time, we figured out how do we get to connect with first-year students. It's essential to receive this feedback as early as possible so we can get students involved in student government. Launching this initiative of our first-year advisory council, this new initiative is designed to bring together first-year students, both traditional freshmen, transfer students, as well as graduate students, to share their perspectives directly with us. The council will serve as both a learning opportunity as well as a pipeline to get more students involved in our student government. Student government continues to prioritize robust activities that build community, support student wellness, and uplift diverse perspectives. Throughout October and early November, we have hosted a wide range of events, some being speaker series, Fresh Check Day in the Diag, pickleball tournament, Halloween 5K, Maize and Blazer, and a housing panel. These are all done in collaboration with our campus partners. In November, Central Student Government partnered with the Trotter Center and NCID to host Peril and Promise, an event that brought together campus community to have a conversation with Dr. Ruth Simmons as well as Dr. Beverly Tatum. On the national stage, CSG is preparing to host the Association of Big Ten Students Fall Conference in Ann Arbor this weekend. Planning has been well underway with an agenda that includes university administrators, political leaders, and student reps from across the Big Ten. Topics this weekend that will be discussed: campus safety, mental health, higher ed affordability, and the future of public schools in a changing political landscape. Hosting this conference positions us as leaders in a collaborative student advocacy space, reaffirming that we are the leaders best. As we move into the final weeks of the fall semester, we are still focused on making sure we work to reflect all students' needs and voices. The remainder of this year, we have a great events hosted, a plan to be hosted, Michigan Moments, as well as Night Around the World, a large-scale cultural celebration in partnership with international student orgs across our campus. These efforts that student government has been putting forward is so that student leadership is responsive to the campus community. It is also my honor today to present students who have done great work to advance student work around campus. Today, I get to bring my Chief of Staff, Haley Bedell. You can stand up when I call your name. There you go. Haley Bedell, she's our Chief of Staff in Student Government. Happy that she could join us today. As well as 5 members of our student cabinet who will be leaving us this winter semester. Luca Giobio could not be here today, but he's our treasurer. He has an exam today, so I told him to go to his exam, don't come here. But I want to acknowledge him. Additionally, we have Ella Vick, who is our Sexual Misconduct Prevention and Survivor Empowerment Commission Deputy Policy Advisor. Go ahead, stand up. We have Cleo Swanee, Director of Internal Affairs for our student government. Communications Director, Emerson Delphin. And our Chief Programming Officer, Max Stefanski. Without their help, we could not do half the things that we have got done this year. It's imperative to acknowledge their commitments to our student government, and we wish them the best as they travel abroad this next semester. Lastly, we are deeply grateful for your continued support. As we work through this year, we have had ups and downs, and we continue to hope that you all will join us in advocating for students and building a better future for our institution. Thank you.
Regent Bernstein would like to make.
Yeah, so President Veal, it's great to see you. I want to, on behalf of the entire board, thank you for your service, not just as CSG president, but also your work on the Presidential Search Advisory Committee. You've sat and engaged with us for over countless hours, and maybe many more. And your voice as a student and your observations and insights have been, and Angelica's as well. I don't know if Angelica's here, who represents, maybe she sent her chief of staff. I don't know, but and I always give Eric a hard time about the internship program at Central Student Government, which I still think is it's a great thing. But you do great work. We've been spending a lot of time at Pizza House as well, meeting with students on a pretty regular basis. We'll get that going again in the next year. But thank you for everything that you do on behalf of the students of this university. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Now I'd like to ask Vice President Kinsey to take us through public comments.
Thank you, President Grasso. We are now moving into the public speaker section of the meeting. As part of their regular meeting agenda, Regents set aside time for individuals to present comments to the board. All public board meetings are formal events convened under Article 8, Section 4 of the Michigan Constitution, and in keeping with reasonable and appropriate norms of decorum, all attendees, including speakers, should treat others with respect and civility. Individuals who are approved to speak will be expected to speak to the topic that was submitted during the registration, truthfully disclose any relevant organizational ties, and promptly cease speaking after the allotted time. Speakers receive 2 minutes to speak unless a topic has been requested multiple times, then the individual will receive 5 minutes on the same topic. Speakers do not adhere to these rules may be precluded from addressing the board in future meetings. With that out of the way, I'd like to call our first speaker, Claire Hakamian. Welcome, Claire. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire Hakimian, and I'm here before you speaking on behalf of the ACLU undergrads. So as students of the University of Michigan, we are deeply concerned about the prevalence of surveillance on campus. With the recent implementation of STEP, the Security Technology Enhancement Project from the DPSS, there has been a continual and drastic increase in the quantity of cameras across campus. This is especially concerning due to vague wording in policy from DPSS. It claims that there will not be cameras installed in any areas where, quote, individuals have a reasonable expectation to privacy, end quote. That includes, but is not limited to, restrooms, locker rooms, private residential rooms, and reflection rooms. However, the installation of cameras in places like the Law Quad call those claims into question, as we believe they have visibility into the private residences of students. Furthermore, the installation of cameras with AI analytics technology throughout campus indicates a possible violation of student privacy rights. Although the DPSS claims that facial recognition technology exists but is not in use, the fact that this technology exists in the first place and without any oversight is concerning. The vague wording on the DPSS website is alarming for student privacy, and the lack of accountability for the dramatic increase in quantity and technology of surveillance on campus intensifies our reservations. We are also concerned about the vague wording regarding whether DPSS will be able to use this data from these surveillance cameras and share it with outside organizations or federal agencies that may not be in the best interest of our student population. These technologies could easily be turned against the Wolverine student body with little to no accountability for those in control. We demand accountability and transparency regarding these policies for the protection of our students and their privacy. This is one of the most important facets of creating a safe, supportive, and democratic campus for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I'd like to now welcome our next speaker, Larry Altman. Welcome, Larry. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Larry Altman. My wife Lori and I are proud alumni of the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. The two of us co-founded the Michigan Alumni Association Club in Austin, Texas. We have residences in both Austin and Ann Arbor. I'm speaking today as the representative of a local Ann Arbor civic action group. Lori and I were exceedingly proud to have endowed a LEAD scholarship through the Alumni Association. When the LEAD scholarship program was discontinued in March, in the face of the elimination of DEI at the university, I called a few well-placed contacts within the Alumni Association to express our profound disappointment. At the same time, I also said that I understood that that was a decision that had to be made quickly and under exceedingly difficult circumstances. Despite the depth of our disappointment, we pledged to continue to support the Alumni Association and as university volunteers and donors. We followed through on our pledge. I'm here today to express my aspiration for the university that when future difficult circumstances arrive, when the university is ordered to take action that could undermine academic freedom and institutional independence, that you, the board, stand strong against such pressure. Don't become another University of Texas at Austin. All is not well at UT Austin. Please do not capitulate. My further aspiration for the university is that in selecting a new president, you select someone who is ready to defend institutional and academic freedom at the University of Michigan on day one. We need someone who will be a transformative leader, prepared to stand up to outside forces that threaten those core principles of the university. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today, and thank you all for your service to the University of Michigan.
Thank you, Larry. I'd like to now welcome our next speaker, Stefan Szymanski. Welcome, and you have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Stefan Szymański. I'm a professor of sport management in the School of Kinesiology, and this year I am chair of the Senate Assembly Committee for the Economic and Social Well-being of the faculty. I want to talk about work connections and the hardship its practices are causing to many university employees. The problems are now well documented, and you heard in detail at your last meeting about one particular case, but there are dozens of similar cases in which work connections has disregarded the expertise of someone's doctor, leading to interference and to demands that the employee returns to work sooner than is medically recommended, at times with devastating results. While the problems are well known, nothing seems to change. I am here on behalf of a coalition of faculty governance and campus unions, which is initiating a campaign to demand fundamental reform of the system. We need to change what too many experience as a deep-seated culture of distrust, in which work connections too often assumes that employees are malingering or that doctors, frequently their own physicians, overstate the extent of their needs. This is not good for any of us. And it is creating a climate of confrontation in the university, including a bevy of lawsuits. And it does not even make fiscal sense, as I would be happy to explain in detail. We will be holding a town hall on December 4th, where employees are invited to share their experiences. We invite you, too, to come and hear some of the heart-rending stories that have resulted from the decisions made by Work Connections. We hope you can work with us to address this long-standing problem. Thank you.
I just want to thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. It has been brought to our attention earlier. It was something that we had a very robust discussion on today. Please send us the link for the town hall. We are going to try to do our best to address the issues that you've outlined.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Do you have a time? Do you have a time and location for the town hall on the 4th? Do you have a time and location set?
Yes, I do. I don't have the details with me at the moment, but I will forward them to you. We may.
It's December 4th at 4:30 in room 2260 undergraduate science.
Will there be a link if we're not in town?
Oh, yeah.
There'll be a link to attend as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Margaret Weiss. Welcome, Margaret, and you have 5 minutes to speak when you're ready. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here today speaking on behalf of the mom of a transgender teenager who does not feel safe appearing in public to address this board. I wish I didn't have to be here today. I wish my daughter could just see her doctor, get the care she needs, and go back to being a regular kid. But instead, I'm here begging this institution to do what's right. When Michigan Medicine ended gender-affirming care for patients under 19, you didn't make an administrative decision. You made a moral one. You chose fear over courage, politics over patience, silence over compassion. And because of that choice, children across this state and beyond, kids like my daughter, were left stranded. Families like mine were thrown into panic. Lives were put at risk. Every major medical organization in this country, every single one, agrees. Gender-affirming care is safe, evidence-based, and life-saving. And yet, the University of Michigan, the so-called leaders and best, walked away from the science, the ethics, and the humanity that are supposed to define you. Do you know what that decision looks like on the ground? It looks like my daughter sitting on her bed, terrified that the medication she depends on will be taken away. It looks like kids across the state losing hope because the doctors they trusted have gone silent. It looks like parents like me, alumni, taxpayers, and lifelong believers in this institution, realizing that the university we loved has turned its back on our children. That is the human cost of your decision. You didn't just cancel appointments. You shattered trust. You sent a message to every trans kid in Michigan. You don't matter enough for us to fight for you. That message will echo far beyond Ann Arbor. Because if the University of Michigan won't stand up for truth, for compassion, for science, who will? Regents, this is not a legal gray area. It is a moral crossroads. When politics threaten care, leaders are supposed to protect patients, not preemptively surrender them. When extremists attack, institutions like this one are supposed to stand taller, not bow lower. And yet, here we are. Watching an institution built on courage choose cowardice instead. So I'm asking you, no, I'm challenging you to look in the mirror and ask yourselves, when did the Michigan difference start meaning do nothing while kids suffer? When did the university that once stood for civil rights decide that fear was more important than integrity? You can fix this, but not with press releases, not with quiet apologies. You can fix it by reinstating gender-affirming care for every patient 19 and under immediately and without qualification. And while you do that, you must also protect these young patients from political intrusion. No parent should ever have to stand alone to defend their child's medical privacy. That responsibility, that moral duty belongs to this university. It belongs to you. Do it because it's right. Do it because it's what science demands. Do it because these kids deserve to live and live happily. And if that's not reason enough, then do it because history is watching. The University of Michigan will be remembered for the choices it makes in this moment, whether it stood for fear or for its values. Please choose courage. Choose compassion. Choose to be the leaders and best again. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. As Martin Luther King said, the arc of moral history is long, but it bends towards justice, if I got that quote right. And keep fighting. We'll get there.
Thank you, Margaret. I'd like to now welcome our next speaker, Alex Karpowicz. Welcome, Alex. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Alex Karpowicz. I'm a resident of Troy, Michigan, and proud alumnus. 2 months ago, I wrote to the Board of Regents expressing my concern with the long-term portfolio, or LTP's performance relative to market indexes. Upon further review, it seems that my concern demonstrated recency bias. The University Record article published last month referenced an annualized return of 9.8% since the university established an investment office in September 1999. Outperforming the S&P 500's 9.5% compound annual growth rate over the same 25-year period. While I find the LTP's performance over the past quarter century encouraging, I am perplexed by the endowment's concentration in venture capital and private equity. These illiquid assets have performed poorly in a high interest rate environment. Recently, the Regents have demonstrated a willingness to scrutinize private equity. I encourage you to apply the same scrutiny to an investment category that represents just under 40% of the LTP's assets. While I presume it is not the goal of the Regents nor the investment office to time markets or a direct investment strategy, I advocate for the Regents to make the best possible decision for the citizens of Michigan and the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Therese Theophilus. Welcome. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. My name is Therese Theophilus. I work at the North Campus Children's Center, and I also sit on the bargaining table for the University Staff Union. We put together a proposal to ask for the cost of living for our staff, our members, especially the child care teachers, and they gave us back zero. They told us no, they gave us nothing, absolutely nothing. So we are concerned that we have normalized on this campus injustice that is done to many of the staff members, especially at the Children's Center. Many of our staff members have to work 2 jobs. A lot of them work 7 days a week. Some of them have to go to the soup kitchen to get their meals. And one particular teacher, you guys gave her an award for her amazing outdoor classroom. And she has to go to the soup kitchen at least twice a week. It's just unacceptable. I'm listening to you talk all the wonderful things that the university has done and doing. We hope that you can become a beacon of hope for the teachers, to at least give them something that they can live off of, that they don't have to, when they leave, and then they come to work, and these are dedicated people. They come to work and they have to pay a monthly bill to park. And then when they get off of work, they have to go to another job. And then they don't even have enough money to buy food. They don't have enough money to do anything else after that. So we're asking that you seriously look at what was offered to us and be a beacon of hope for the teachers. Thank you.
Ma'am, I just have one sorry, I just have one question. How many children are in the care center, and they are children of our employees at Michigan Medicine? Is that right?
No, they're just.
Where is it?
It's not just Michigan Medicine. We have a campus in Dearborn, Flint, and Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And I know the number in Ann Arbor is like maybe 115 or 20 teachers. I don't know the exact amount of the children that are there, but most of our parents do work for the University of Michigan.
Okay, just in general. Okay.
Just in general.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome Cindy Giffen. Welcome, Cindy. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Thanks for having me today. My name is Cindy Giffen. I'm a lecturer, I'm a teaching professor, and I'm also president of the Lecturers Employee Organization, LEO. I'm here today to speak about the urgent need for the University of Michigan and this board to not capitulate to the Trump administration, but instead to reject the Compact for Academic Excellence in Higher Education. Hardly. You know from the Faculty Senate report, the University Senate passed a motion to reject the compact by a vote of 2,978 to 225. An overwhelming margin. The message from faculty at all ranks is clear. I personally represent 2,000 non-tenure track faculty, and we are proud to teach students at such an excellent institution. We are privileged to work with bright and curious students who will go on to do amazing things. Entering into this agreement will put us at risk, as we do not have the protections of tenure. It's not a stretch to imagine a future where a lecturer is fired for teaching content that politicians find objectionable or encouraging students to examine their privilege or their bias. This has happened already in September. Not here, but elsewhere. I ask you, what kind of education will our students be getting about how to be engaged citizens if protest or dissent is absent from our campus? How am I, a biologist, to respond when a student asks me to help them understand biological sex versus gender or the evidence about vaccines and autism? Should I self-censor to keep my job? Or should I provide a careful and nuanced response cultivated over 21 years of experience in pedagogy and science? Reject the compact publicly, openly, be the leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I'd like to welcome Leslie Simpson. Welcome, Leslie, and you have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
My name is Leslie Simpson. I'm an alumni of U of M, was a staff member for almost a decade, and I'm now a licensed residential builder and a small business owner here in Southeast Michigan. I have been a proud advocate of the university for decades, touting the university's commitment to positive business practices, limiting negative effects on the environment, and taking care of the people of Michigan. However, I was here in May to express my outrage at former President Ono's capitulation to an unlawful executive branch of the federal government by dismantling DEI. And some of the decisions made by the university since his departure have made it clear to me that the problem still lies in this room. Decisions are being made in this room that are against the longstanding values and morals of the current U of M community, its alumni, and the local residents. Decisions are being made in this room that are hurting Michiganders. So when U of M is proposing a new AI data center in Ypsilanti, I am more than a little skeptical that it will be done to the benefit of Michiganders. I understand the need for progress, that AI is the next frontier, and that to remain a leader in big data and research, that it makes sense for U of M to invest in such an endeavor. But will it be done the right way? I am here to implore you to truly strive to be the leaders and best in the development of such a facility. There are ways to minimize the effects to the community. A closed loop water cooling system reduces the water usage and pollution from 1 million gallons a day to that of an office building. And the energy requirements cannot be overlooked, particularly in a county where there are 3 proposed data centers. As much as I love solar, the infrastructure is expensive and Michigan winters are not known for its sunny days. What's the backup plan? Skyrocketing energy costs for our county residents? Diesel generators that will pollute the air my kids breathe? The proposed U of M site in Ypsilanti is less than 4 miles from my home. It is quite literally my backyard. Do not let this data center become the next DEI or transgender health issue where the university spouts a commitment to ethical practices until it becomes inconvenient. The people in this room have power. Do not abuse it.
Leslie, I just wanted to clear a few things up. When I saw your topic, I asked a lot of questions of our faculty and of our staff. And I asked, is this a data center? And the reply was, this is not a data center. The University of Michigan and Los Alamos National Laboratory are partnering to create a national high-performance computing research center. This differs in scale and purpose from a commercial data center built to store and deliver internet content. Those facilities are intended to power apps, websites, and online shopping, mainly serving private companies and their customers. The center, this research center, is 100 megawatts, while a data center can be up to 2 gigawatts, or more than 20 times larger than what we're proposing. The public research facility will help scientists tackle big challenges in health, energy, climate, national security. Scientists there will use its high-performance computers to simulate, model complex problems like new cancer treatments and clean energy systems to improving weather forecasts and cybersecurity. Multiple potential sites are under evaluation, all zoned for light industrial use, with strong infrastructure and buffer space to protect nearby parks and natural areas. A new DTE substation will power the facility without affecting local homes, businesses, or grid reliability. The cost of the substation will be paid in full by U of M. The project will not draw water or discharge into the Huron River, Cooling and sanitation needs will be handled by municipal systems with existing capacity. Stormwater and wetlands will be managed in accordance with strict state environmental standards. Lastly, the center will not manufacture or test weapons.
I reinstate my comments that it sounds like a great plan. I just ask that you guys maintain your commitment, the longstanding commitment to the community of environmental protections and truly be the leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Now I'd like to welcome our final speaker, Jeremy Haley. Welcome. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Jeremy Haley, Ypsi Township. I don't know if I could possibly ask for another minute to conclude this because this issue is bigger than myself because I'm here to talk about the controlled substance policy on basically the dental school and Michigan medicine. And when these drugs first come out, nobody said they were addictive. I don't know how they could believe that because they are an analog derivative from morphine. They would share the same physical and chemical properties of the same derivative. So people, I don't know how they sold it as such when you could look at the chemical structure and derive that it might share some of the same things. But this policy that you have is a blanket policy that treats anybody at Michigan Medicine or the dental school as an addict. This is the controlled substance, not form, but what the controlled substance form is. I cannot see the controlled substance form until I'm in a doctor's office and signed in front of a doctor, and the form cannot leave the building. That does not sound like a medical form. That sounds more like a legal document. Sounds like I need to have an attorney present with me to sign it, to have them read it first. Because this form requires me to go through drug testing, bring the pills to a pharmacy, to have counted on a whim. Okay, so the reason I bring this up because last May 2024, I went through a crown lengthening procedure on a tooth. The procedure went fine. What happened and during after was horribly wrong. When he got up, he asked if I was fine. I couldn't see from my right eye. I have right occipital and right trigeminal neuralgia from a car accident, broken neck. My right eye swollen up, I couldn't see out of it. They let me leave the building that day and just said, take Tylenol or Motrin. I passed out in the Myers parking lot, Jackson and Zebra Roads, because of the pain of that and the nerve conditions that I have. And it's not only that. Shortly after that, on the Mildred Gaddis show, Detroit Station 105.9, can I just have 1 minute, please? Because this really matters. On the Mildred Gaddis show, a Detroit Station 105.9, they were complaining about Michigan's medicine upon the Black community and treatment on the pain management, okay? And I don't feel that. And they were talking about sickle cell anemia treatment with the Black community. A young Black patient had a dry socket, horrible dry socket from the dental school. Take Tylenol, nothing. This policy has to change. You're treating everybody as if they were an addict. I'm upcoming for another procedure because I got an infection within the bone in the same area. What do you think is going to happen? I have a fear the same reaction is going to occur again. And at the dental school, they say, hey, just take Tylenol, Motrin. And that's unthinkable. It's cruel, inhumane, and unusual punishment to do to people. I am not an addict. I empathize with addicts. I cannot sympathize with them because I am not one, but I do know people in my life who are. Thank you.
Mr. President, all the speakers have now spoken.
Thank you, Vice President Kinsey. The meeting is now adjourned.